Hi, this is Dr. Kang, the Scuba Diving Stories again. And today's topic is oxygen toxicity. This lady is a Korean actress, my heroine, and her nickname is Oxygen Lady. I think it's a beautiful name. Okay, for oxygen toxicity, there's some definitions, types, symptoms, and prevention management. And I like to say something about the possibility of getting oxygen toxicity while we are taking that hyperbaric oxygen chamber therapy. It can come, surely. And the definition is oxygen toxicity is a condition resulting from harmful effects of breathing molecular oxygen at increased partial pressure. So this is what happens when we dive, and as we go deeper, the partial pressure of oxygen goes up. So what kind of oxygen toxicity are there? So probably the most serious toxicity that we can encounter during diving is CNS. It's a central nervous system oxygen toxicity. Surely we have a pulmonary oxygen toxicity, but very rarely seen in diving environment, except in a very serious, a long time exploration underwater, where we used a high concentration of oxygen in our breathing gas. There are certain other toxicities, like retina can be damaged. There's some endocrine organs or endocrine glands can also be damaged. Funny enough, we are taking high percentage oxygen, but that can damage myocardial muscles. So it's all about high pressure. It's not the air that we are using. So major concern for divers is oxygen toxicity of CNS. CNS, central nervous system, may come anytime, theoretically, anytime when oxygen partial pressure exceeds 1.1 bar. But it's very rarely seen. When partial pressure of oxygen goes above 1.4, then we have serious risk. So in diving, the maximum operating depth of the gas, whether it is air, whether it is nitrox, whatever percentage, when partial pressure of oxygen goes 1.4 bar, then it is recommended not to do that. We have a contingency depth, which is like a partial pressure of O2 is 1.6. The contingency situation in diving should be when we do nothing but decompression. So when we decompress, we can use 1.6, but when we are actually diving, it's 1.4. What kind of symptom do we have when you have CNS oxygen toxicity? A very, very famous, should I call this abbreviation, or it's we read it like C-vented or convented. So con is conversion, and that means, and that comes without warning. That is the major concern. It's not petit mal seizure, which is just a little bit of seizure, but it's grand mal. So which we see when we see some epileptic patients. V is vision, and usually tunnel vision or any other visual disturbance can come. Ears, ringing. I have a friend who actually went through this CNS oxygen toxicity on the water. And when it was beginning, he said he heard some like a bell ringing sound, ding, 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 ding. That was his heartbeat. But he heard his own heartbeat like tinnitus. Nausea. It can come continuously or it can come and go. Twitching of muscles, irritability, and dizziness. So this CNS oxygen toxicity symptoms, we all remember them by convented, or in Korea we say C-vented. I don't know if there is any real English word like convented or C-vented, but at least it's easier to remember. What I do is I keep this in my wet notes that I bring on the water all the time. This and symptoms of DCS, decompressive sickness, and it's better if we have it and we can check it, you know. Pulmonary oxygen toxicity, it's a lung problem, and it comes when high concentration oxygen kind of irritate your alveoli for a long time. Almost no concern for divers. Almost. There are some patients in intensive care units. They cannot breathe, and then we have to give oxygen with our machine. And usually we make a hole here. It's called a tracheotomy, and we put some laryngeal tube with cuffing, so that air do not mix with the oxygen. But anyway, if we do it for a long time with 100% oxygen for a long time, then we can have a pulmonary toxicity. So in intensive care unit, it is one of the jobs of the nurses that they go around the table and they switch off the oxygen, change to air, and then after about 10 minutes they open the oxygen again. So they do some paperwork and then they go around. They call it rounding. The symptoms we can see is coughing, blood sputum, and people really complain of dyspnea, hard to breathe. How do we prevent? We should stick to 1.4 and 1.6 partial pressure of oxygen when you dive. Contingency, it's 1.6 when you decompress. So when you decompress at 21 meters, we use 50% oxygen, and at 6 meters we switch to 100% oxygen. If you feel anything, any of the sea vented, then we should ascend to shallow depths. Let's say we have the obligation of decompression at a certain depth. In that case, if you feel anything regarding oxygen toxicity, we should ascend to shallow water, like 18, 15, and then we can stay there much longer than 21, 18, 15. So the decompression can be compensated. Now is the concern for hyperbaric chamber oxygen toxicity. Does it come? Can it come? Yes, it does come, because as we know, the pressure inside hyperbaric chamber is like 2.8 bar, which means when we are breathing oxygen inside, we are breathing oxygen with partial pressure of 2.8. Considering the diving recommended depth, this is very, very high. So how do we take care of this situation? We go in water and we go into the chamber and we go deeper, and then they elevate the pressure. For like 5 to 7 meters, they go as deep as 18 meters. And then here we breathe 100% oxygen for 20 minutes. And then we switch to air and we breathe air for 5 minutes, and it goes on. When the depth gets shallower, and here we breathe oxygen longer and air shorter. So that's how we take care of the oxygen toxicity problem. Still, it can come. So here's a database review from the Australia. There were 1,395 patients received 6,084 treatment. 64 felt the oxygen toxicity symptom, and 17 actually had a seizure. So this is rare. We can have oxygen toxicity in hyperbaric chamber, but hospital, the chamber facility, we have many means to take care of this situation. The first thing is there's a nurse inside, and as soon as we observe something, or he or she complains of some symptoms, then we immediately remove the oxygen mask and let him breathe air. That usually takes care of the situation. But in some country, in some situation, there's nobody inside to take care of them. It's possible. In that case, the operator outside observe the chamber inside, and if he sees something strange going on, he tell other patients inside to help him, because we cannot just down press immediately. That can give another problem. So somehow oxygen toxicity inside the hyperbaric chamber is taken care of. So today I talked about oxygen toxicity. The symptoms were C-vented, and prevention is we stick to the given depth or partial pressure of oxygen. Management is coming up to a shallow depth, and hyperbaric concern is something it's better we know, but it's very rare. It was like conversion was like only 1.32 percentage. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'll see you next time.